Well, before we start our new segment or next segment, I did want to mention that this is all part of the Hilldale Avenue area. Cashman's Field is on Hilldale Avenue, and we lived in this area. And right now we're on Brook Street.
That's correct. In fact, all of this land, which I forgot to mention in an earlier segment, including the project area, the hill, was owned by a gentleman by the name of Mr. Cashman. And he sold the land, I guess it was to the government or to the Haverhill Housing Authority, right. And this is now what we have.
Excellent.
To show for it.
Now, I remember walking to and from school a lot of times. Of course, when the weather was bad, we got a ride, hopefully, sometimes.
Not too often.
But this was a nice area. We really didn't mind the walk, or I didn't.
No, but I think we're just used to it. I mean, once you do it all the time, it's part of your daily routine.
Right.
And the schools around the area were Tilton School, which we attended.
Right.
Also St. Joseph's down in Lafayette Square area. Those were the two major schools that most of the children from this area attended.
Right, exactly. And I remember right in this area over here, as a matter of fact, we used to also take a shortcut, but I remember getting rhubarb and some fruits from over here, too.
Absolutely. We, I guess it just grew wild over here. It was the rhubarb, and I think it was black raspberries. We also had a little bit within the projects.
Right, up on the hill that we were mentioning
absolutely.
earlier.
And it was interesting to take it home, and then someone would make a pie out of it. It's just incredible. It's just a wonderful area and good memories.
Right, exactly. Any more memories about
Yes.
where we lived?
There are some memories that I think we ought to mention. The adults and the activities for adults. We mention the children all the time here, but the adults also, I mean, at that time you didn't have any Foxwoods,
Right.
Mohegan Sun.
Right.
They didn't have a lot of the activities on the outside that they do now for grown-ups to do. And so what they had was horseshoes in our backyards. They'd
True.
play horseshoes. We'd set up a badminton set, and even the adults would be involved in that. Like I said, the father and son softball games. And they also played cards on Saturday nights. They'd go into one home on one Saturday night and then into the other home on the next Saturday night, and they'd play a little cards for a little activity, a little getaway from their 2 or 3 occupations that some of the fathers and mothers had at the time in order to keep the family going.
This is probably a good opportunity for us to talk about our family, as a matter of fact. Why don't you? And before we do that, I do want to thank my daughter, Jennifer, who is manning the camera right now. So that was great. Thank you again. And she actually has done a lot of the programs, done the camera work for programs that I did for around town. But nonetheless, let's talk a little bit about the family.
Just a little bit. The Seaman family that moved into the Veterans Project back in February, I believe it was, of 52, was Norma and Earl Seaman, who most people knew as Buddy.
Right.
And also at that time, the family that lived there, the children, were yourself, Larry, myself, our brother Gary, our sister Debbie, and then after we moved out of the area, of course, little Melissa was born.
Right.
So we must mention her, even though we're not in that area.
And our cousin lives in this vicinity as well.
Absolutely. Seaman cousins live right in this area.
Right.
Yes.
And also just a special note that Tom Bergeron actually lived in this vicinity as well, but we won't go into details as to where.
There were some others that lived in this area, like the Azaritos. Also, if you go back to the projects, I mean, the Evans family, the Johnsons. I said, you can go on and on. There's the Brooks family also lived here.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of the people around the area were, like I said, they were all veterans that lived in the Veterans Project, but also in this area here that we've stopped at near Brook Street. And we're involved in the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And at that time, during a few years, we had the Shoemakers Drum Corps,
Exactly.
which a lot of the children and adults were involved with back in the early
right.
60s, which was a great activity and a lot of fun for a lot of kids.